Okay, good evening. It's 6 o'clock and welcome to the January 3rd meeting of the governing body. I'll call this meeting to order. If you will give your attention to Councilwoman Ortiz, who will provide the invocation, stand as you are able, and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you thanking you for another day, thanking you for another year, 2023, asking your blessings on this year. We ask that you guide us and lead us and help us with everything, our finances. We ask that you wrap your arms around our safety personnel, our officers, our fire department, our street crews, why they're even out there. We ask that every house that's represented here in this chamber, we ask a special blessing on them. And Lord, we ask that you bring Mr. Henderson, Antonio Henderson, back home to us safely, all the way from wherever he's at. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Where in the world is Antonio Embry?
Where is he at? Like y'all go, where's Waldo?
We'll proceed with the Dark Knight roll call. City Clerk?
Mayor Padilla,
Here.
Council Members Hiller,
Yep, here.
Valdivia Acala,
Here.
Ortiz,
Here.
Emerson,
Here.
Kell,
Here.
Nager,
Here.
Dobler,
Here.
Duncan,
Here.
and Hofer.
Here.
We have 10 present.
Okay. Thank you. We'll proceed now to agenda item 2, the consent agenda. The clerk will read.
A is a resolution introduced by Deputy Mayor Spencer Duncan canceling certain governing body meetings for calendar year 2023. B is approval of a proposed settlement agreement of Shawnee County case number 2022 CV 689 and release of all potential claims and liens in exchange for $50,000. C are minutes of the regular meeting of December 20, 2022, and there are no applications.
Okay, we've heard the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion. Motion to approve by Councilwoman Nager, second by Councilman Kell. If you call the roll, please.
Mayor Padilla,
Yes.
Council Members Hiller,
Yes.
Valdivia Acala,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Kell,
Yes.
Nager,
Yes.
Dobler,
Yes.
Duncan,
Yes.
and Hope.
Yes.
We have 10 yes, motion carries.
Motion being carried. We'll now move to agenda item number 3, which is something we take care of at the beginning of the year, every year, and that's the election of the deputy mayor. If the clerk will read.
A is election of a deputy mayor to serve a one-year term pursuant to Topeka Municipal Code Section A2 26C.
Okay. According to governing body rules and procedures 4.1b, council members who have served the longest period of time and have not previously served as deputy mayor will automatically be nominated. Therefore, Councilman Dobler would automatically be nominated to serve as deputy mayor. Councilman Dobler, do you accept the nomination?
I will, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Is there a motion to nominate Councilman Dober? Motion to approve by Councilwoman Nager, second by Councilwoman Ortiz. In the acknowledgements of her presence here. If the clerk will call the roll, please, for the vote.
Council Members Hiller,
Yes.
Valdivia Acala,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Nager,
Yes.
Dobler,
I'll abstain.
Duncan,
I filled this out for you and everything, man. Yes.
and Hofer,
Yes.
and Mayor Padilla.
Yes.
We have 9 yes. Motion carries.
Motion carried.
Here's something about for you.
Congratulations, and thank you for accepting the nomination. Move forward now with action item 3B, if the clerk will read.
B is a public hearing to obtain citizen input on the City of Topeka's FY 2023 Annual Consolidated Action Plan.
Mr. City Manager?
Mr. Mayor, I think we're set for a public hearing, and we also have Director of Housing Services Corey Wright available to make a presentation.
Okay.
Okay, good evening, governing body. Tonight I want to talk to you about the 2023 Consolidated Action Plan. This plan is done every year as a resource and allocation document that allows the city to receive its entitlement funds of Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership, and HERTH Emergency Solutions Grant. It is a summary of actions and activities that the city will provide in 2023 as the priorities have been identified from the community. All activities must meet the imposed caps and limits. Sorry. There we go. Okay. The imposed caps and limits that are required and determined by HUD, such as the public service cap, which you hear about most frequently. The funding cycle runs from January through December of 2023, with final allocations being announced by HUD in January or February or March. HUD grants total a little over $5 million, with the majority, or 47%, going to homeless and social service activities, and 35% going to housing development. This is comparable to what we provided in 2022. It is important to note that supplementing our HUD funds with outside funding sources is necessary to enhance the services being offered with our HUD funds. While the dollar amount of our entitlement grants do not fluctuate much from year to year, we have a lot of work to do in the community. In the past 3 years, the Housing Division has secured almost $7 million, which added 46% of additional funding for services to those individuals most in need. Each year, we obtain citizen input on how to determine the best use of our funds and capture citizen priorities that align with the HUD objectives. We met with Citizens Advisory Council, the Homeless Task Force. We had several other public meetings and one-on-one meetings. This year, we asked for assistance from Greater Topeka Partnership for additional outreach efforts, and we had a great response. We provided a 30-day comment period, and tonight we will have our public hearing with a tentative vote on January 17th. All public meetings were advertised on all our social media outlets, on City 4, flyers through numerous listservs that the city oversees, and also listservs from outside entities such as the Greater Topeka Partnership, which has a great reach. There were a lot of support to continue our efforts supporting seniors and people experiencing homelessness during public comment this year. Our recommendations for the 2023 con plan include continuing our existing programs that support those two endeavors, supporting seniors and people experiencing homelessness. With our housing development programs, of the 133 households we assisted in 2022, 89 of those households were seniors. So that is 67% of our housing development programs that are serving our seniors. We assisted 752 people in various capacities with services to prevent or respond to homelessness. Our emergency repair program, accessibility, and weatherization, those are all programs that keep people in their homes. But for our assistance, those folks might not be able to live in their home. In total, 80% of our HUD funds assist seniors and people experiencing homelessness at some capacity. Last year, the Housing Division implemented Equity Access Shelter and received a grant to help individuals exiting a psychiatric facility find safe, affordable, and decent housing. The con plan supports continued efforts supplementing with other dollars to assist even more in these areas. The city provides 15% of our community development block grant funds to our CHODOs, which is the Community Housing Development Organizations. They are providers that are nonprofit, community-based organizations that provide affordable housing in our community. Based on feedback, we recommend using prioritization in the scoring matrix of the RFP process to provide extra points for housing projects that will assist seniors and people experiencing homelessness. And with that, I will stand for any questions you might have.
Any questions from the governing body? This is also an opportunity for a public hearing, and I can open the public hearing as well. At this time, I will open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone present who would like to speak to the matter. Is there anyone present who would like to speak to the matter? And for the third time, is there anyone present who would like to speak to the matter? Hearing none, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. And again, I will ask the governing body if they have questions. Councilwoman Hiller.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Corey. I was having a hard time keeping up with some of the numbers in your presentation, and I'm not sure they're in the plan. So forgive me. I did have a lot of questions. I didn't realize I wasn't able to get to this till partway through the holiday, so I appreciate that Corey has already answered a lot of them. I will be following up with a few. But your slide did talk about the 80% for homeless and seniors. And as somebody who represents 10 neighborhoods in central Topeka who need affordable housing for young people and families, and we're wanting to attract people to live there and then raise their kids there, I was surprised at that. Mm-hmm. Could you talk a little more about what in this plan is available to? I didn't think the percent was that low. I went back through it, but to the LMI families that live there now that aren't homeless and aren't seniors?
Mm-hmm. So, Councilwoman Hiller, if you look at the budget sheet in particular, it's somewhat helpful because it's kind of divided by activity. So that top part of that budget sheet is the housing development part. That is the 35%, and then down below, the homeless and social services, that is the 47%. So the homeless services are very specific. There's not a lot of changing around. We can do, those funds are specific to homeless services, minus the $67,000 that we put in for social service activities. The rest has to be spent in that area. But up atop, those housing development dollars, while those are being used for seniors, they are also used for others. I guess the point I was trying to refer to is that while those are open to anybody that is LMI, 67% of them are seniors, which is pretty amazing statistics this year that we're seeing.
And so if I could continue, the extra points if you are a senior or a homeless is what you decided to do as well?
So again, on the budget sheet, there is a CHODO nonprofit set aside. We are required by HUD to provide 15% of our CDBG funds to our CHODOs, which we have 3. So what I'm referring to there is that RFP that goes out for requests for proposals. We issue that. We put in the RFP that there's prioritization if they are focusing in on seniors and those experiencing homelessness.
Okay, I guess I need to process that. We have some new developments, for instance, that Cornerstone did on Lane Street that are absolutely wonderful. They are a super asset to the neighborhood and a wonderful improvement, and they might not have been funded then with that priority because they have families in them.
So with those would be for families, yes. I guess our recommendation would be, since there's such need, and that is a lot of what we heard through the comment this year, that maybe we prioritize that through the scoring sheet. So it could be still open to families, but maybe they get more points if they are serving seniors and those experiencing homelessness through those funds.
If I could ask a related question to that, I mean, where is it that our CHODOs, then I thought our CHODOs were getting more money out of our local HUD grants than it appears that they are, because they're doing wonderful work, Habitat, Cornerstone, and now moving in as well. Where are they getting their money then?
So the CHODOs are getting money through the CHODO set-aside, always, every year. That will always happen.
Right.
And then when the DREAMS project, so those 3 in the housing development, major rehab, exterior rehab, and infill, those are our DREAMS project. If we do not have enough applications for major rehab, those, then we will use that money for infill in that specific area that had been selected by the Citizens Advisory Council. So they would get money at that point if the neighborhood allotted to move it there.
Okay, I may follow up with you a little further, because, that's pretty important to all of our neighborhoods to attract and keep those families and individuals who are under 55 and may live by themselves for whatever reason.
Councilwoman Valdivia.
Thank you, Mayor. Corey, I apologize in advance because I have not gone over this with a fine-tooth comb as Councilwoman Hiller. I do have some very basic questions on last year's versus this year's comp plan, which I have asked for a copy of last year so I can start doing the comparing and contrasting myself. So how much, was there a lessening then on how much went to CHODOs? How much is being funded to CHODOs?
So, yes, I could tell you the changes specifically from last year.
Can you give me like maybe just a lump sum decrease or a percentage decrease on CHODO?
Let's see. So from 2022 to 2023, the CHODO set aside did not change. The amount that went to the CHODO last year was based off of the unused money in major rehab that we shifted to an infill project. So they did receive some CHODO. I don't have that dollar amount with me tonight, but they did receive some of that money through the DREAMS program.
Okay. I guess the reason that I'm asking, and this is, it just came to my mind as you were talking about it. I know that Habitat received ARPA funding. I know that Cornerstone received ARPA funding. And then I know that Scent, as the new CHODO, received over 1 point however much million from the 2 million I think that your department had as its own ARPA money. And again, this is a naive question and I admit it, but any decrease that might be looking at in the way of our CHODOs in this most current con plan, would it have anything to do, and a yes or no is fine, I don't need a detailed explanation, with that those ARPA dollars were given out?
No, there has been no altercation based off of ARPA dollars.
Okay, thank you for that. And again, I'm just trying to make connections and maybe where none exist on this. But the other thing I wonder too is, do you have a specific amount of how many senior households we have in Topeka?
I believe we could research that and probably provide a fair estimate.
Okay. I'm wondering if we could get that along with an estimate. It's nothing that I would hold you to at all, but, in a really, aggressive manner, but about our younger communities, LMI, below 55. I was surprised when looking this over more in depth, probably than the other previous years, at the amount that is going for unsheltered and homeless. And I know that is absolutely a priority. And we know with the creation of EAS, we know the continued problem that we're having with the chronic unsheltered. My concern, though, is how do we try to weigh these as best we can to where we don't cut the footing out from underneath the many LMI young communities that we have that are in homes that may need services we provide. So the information that I do ask you is just a way to help me understand more. And so I appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
Further questions from the body? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. There's no action to be taken at this time that is set for approval on January 17th, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. We'll move on now to a non-action item on the agenda 4B, and for 4B or 4A, excuse me. And for that, we have a person signed up to speak, Mr. Bruce QB, is that correct? Yes, sir. Would you step forward, please? Whenever you're ready, Mr. QB.
Mr. Mayor, council people, thank you for allowing me to step up here. My concern with the utility rate increase for the water over the next, I believe it's 6 years, is the fact that the percentages will affect about 20% of our population. Somebody asked what the population of Topeka was in senior citizens. It's 20% of the population. And those people are on fixed incomes. And if you begin to continue to take money from them in increased values of their homes, so their taxes go up on that, increased electric bills, increased gas bills, and so forth. And now here we add another 10% per year onto that. And these people are on fixed incomes who haven't had raises until this year with their Social Security, and that's already gobbled up with gas and food. So my concern is, are we looking at this just as a revenue source, or is there a real plan in how we're going to execute that money to put the lines back in the ground for the water pipes? I've lived here 55 years, and we have always had broken water lines in the harsh winters. Now, we don't have harsh winters like we used to, and we don't have harsh summers like we used to, but our water system has not been replaced on a ongoing, planned basis from what I can see, and I'm only one person. But when we used to have a water commissioner, that was brought to the council, you were shown, everybody was shown what the plan was. This district was going to get new water lines, this district was next year, so forth and so on, similar to what you're doing with the streets now. My concern is, where's the plan? How much money is it going to cost? How much of our tax money is going to go to it? And now this additional tax, what's it going to raise? How long is it going to take to replace the lines that have been in the ground for 60, 70, 80 years? Because we've got some that are there, and we haven't touched them. We're lucky they haven't broken yet. But wait a minute, and they will. That's my concern. Thank you. I appreciate you allowing me to speak.
Thank you, sir. On the non-action item 4A, if the clerk would read.
A is discussion concerning potential utility rate changes for infrastructure maintenance.
Mr. City Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We held a public meeting last Wednesday night. Councilwoman, you were there. Good session. We have another one scheduled for tomorrow at noon in the Holiday Building. We look forward to great participation there. We have made the decision that we will not seek a vote next week. We're going to postpone that vote. We have 3 or 4 items that we're looking very strongly at that we think can have an impact. And so pending that evaluation, my preference right now is to not take it to a vote.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for the city manager? Councilwoman Valdivia.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't think this is so much question, so can I still say something? It's just question time.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm glad to see that the vote is being postponed. The gentleman that just came up to make the comment about 20% of seniors in the city of Topeka, I think that it's still important, both for the comp plan that we were just talking about, but also for looking at water rate increases, to know how many households that equates to. Because one of the things that seniors that I've been talking to were seeing, that I think the plan had showed an increase of maybe being able to serve 1,250 households with the refund, the rebate process that is administered through CRC, and about so many households, LMI young folks and senior households that are definitely LMI on fixed incomes, it would not be able to serve them and they would lose out. I think that it's good also because we know how inflation is ravaging the grocery prices right now. And I hope that there's ways that you, city manager, and your, and staff are seriously and aggressively, again, continuing to look at grant possibilities, because my take on it, from what I can see, is whether, it's the state or federal. I know a lot of it comes in through, it is funneled through the state. There are opportunities that we should be aggressively looking at in the way of grants. But I wanted to make a comment too, and I understand people might get upset about me making this comment, but I listened into the meeting, and I'm going to be listening into January 4th meeting. I watched it on Facebook streaming live. There were very few people in the audience, and the number, I mean, you look at the dialogue that's out there on Nextdoor, you look at it on, Facebook pages, you hear people talking in the streets about it. Everywhere you go, people are talking about this. And somehow, whether that be through something that we are not doing right as a city with the best time or whatever, folks have to understand that democracy, that having your voice heard about things that are really, that you believe are unfair and not right, it doesn't only happen in this governing body realm. It happens through active participation. And I know that folks are busy. I know that a lot of folks feel cynical, but I know that folks have a lot of hope that this will not go through. But I just want to restate that we have to be active in this process. We're active here, but folks need to start attending meetings and listening in, and keep sending in your emails, because this is how democracy works at a local level, where your voice is heard the loudest. So I just wanted to say that. So thank you, Mayor.
Councilwoman Nager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a question for Utilities Director Davis and City Manager Wade. What is the best way for citizens to go ahead and look at some of our master plans that have been put forth? Because that's come up a lot, that people don't know where to access the information, and I know it's there because it has to be for us to be in compliance.
So a couple different ways you can do it. If you go to topeka.org, on that homepage, there's a link to our utilities section, which outlines a fair amount of detail. They can also email my office at citymanager@topeka.org, and we can provide direct assistance.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman Herder.
I was just going to let you know, when I was at the meeting, I asked after the cameras were turned off, how did you find out about the meeting? They listed 3 or 4 different ways. Prevalent one was either a WIBW, they'd seen a story, or on Facebook. Those were the 2 biggest. Then I asked how they, what they saw as problems for coming to the meeting. One of them, it was Christmas week. A lot of people were on vacation, gone somewhere. That was a hindrance, I'll admit that. One of the ladies did tell me that she has a email list of 170 people, so when something comes up, she'll do a report and send it out to 170 people. She said whether they read it or not, I don't know, but she said, I've got their name, and they get this and they find out about what's going on, which I appreciated. And I asked if there was anyone that they knew that wanted to say anything to come to the meeting this week. So it was not the best of times, but we did try, and people were there. And the group that was there was very lively. They had a lot to say, and we talked for probably another 10 or 15 minutes after the meeting was over. So it was well worth doing the meeting and going to see what everybody had to say. So thank you for doing that.
Councilman Hiller?
Just wanted to make a comment, and I'm concerned about the amount of money that it would cost anybody, just like we all are, I think. But when I step back and look, if we're not providing water to people, nobody else will. I mean, we're running a utility, and if we need that money to do it right, to do some catch up on things that weren't done before and to do it right, I think we all have to take that seriously. It's not like a trade-off or, let's cut it a little bit. I've been here when we did that before. If we need the money, my thought is that the charge we should give ourselves as a council is to be able to answer those questions that just came up a little more quickly, to make sure that there are plans that we're solidly behind, not just chipping away at, but solidly behind getting the water lines replaced in whole districts as well. So we're reducing the number of breaks and extending the life of our system. Our staff has already told us that ideally we're going for 150 years instead of a 100-year lifetime. I look at District 6, for instance, where the 12th Street project has happened. I don't know the final count. I think it was 30 water main breaks a couple of years ago. That's not okay. And we need to support the staff and our citizens by saying, we're going to make sure that this utility is funded and that the plans are there and it's managed such that we make some of this stuff go away. Instead of people we know that when citizens are pretty tolerant, but just having your water suddenly go off for 2 hours is life-changing for people. I mean, we're providing an essential service. Other people may be able to help if people are in need. We've got the fund, and hopefully you've got some great things that are emerging here, but other people help with food, other people help with clothing, other people can help very low-income folks with certain things. Nobody else is going to provide them water. I think we have to I just want to encourage all of us to take really seriously what it takes to do that and do it right. Thank you.
Councilman Cap?
Kind of almost what Councilwoman Hiller was saying there is we kind of need to take a look at this as a whole. Everyone keeps on saying, well, the gas company came after us, the electric company came after us, the county came after us. Well, they're not taking care of us necessarily, so we need to take care of ourselves. And it's bad across the board. Hiawatha, Kansas, 43% increase in sewer, 20% increase in water. Lawrence is kind of doing the opposite of what we're doing, where they're lighter on the front end of it, of their 3-year plan, and heavier on the back end. But I'd definitely like to see our lower these percentages a little bit and try to find ways to lower these. And then look at how many times we can combine projects that take care of everything at once and cut the cost of the overall project. A good example is the 21st and Topeka Boulevard. It's gonna be getting torn up, and new water lines, new sewer lines, all that, all at once kind of thing, instead of doing one project, waiting 2 years to come back in and tear it up to just do the same project with a sewer line versus a water line kind of thing. So as long as we can combine as many projects as we can and plan that out, I think we'll be good. But we need to look at our water main breaks. There's been a lot. As you know, I've not been able to see the accident report, but the person that was killed on 37th, there's a water main break right there, and the road is very icy. And we need to look at how much safety that it creates. If we're not fixing these water mains and they're breaking all the time, and it's freezing cold weather, people have to drive on that to be able to get to work, to pay their bills. But if, as a city, we need to look at how we're taking responsibility for our stewardship of the future of these projects, making sure that we are taking care of these water lines, so we aren't having issues where we're putting our own citizens at danger by trying to cut back on aspects where we can try to compromise a little and not look at such high numbers, but, you know, across the board, across the state, the numbers are just skyrocketing. And I'm glad we're not doing a 43% hike as, like I said, Hiawatha is doing it. And like I said, Lawrence is actually back-ending theirs, so they're actually have a higher percentage after the 3 years, so that when you take a higher number, higher percentage, it goes even higher. So we just kind of need to look at a compromise, maybe try to lower these numbers a little bit and try to figure out what's best for the future and not try to kick this can down the road and say, well, we won't worry about the water lines, because as Councilwoman Hiller said, you know, we have to take care of our own citizens. Thank you.
Councilman Dover.
Thanks, Mayor. You know, I was trying to figure out how much most people have county refuse as part of their water bill. It's a good way to do a combined billing, makes a lot of sense. Trying to figure out how much refuse is going up. I think it's 6.5% if I found the right CJ article. So at least I commend us for having some public meetings, talking about this in council meetings for several weeks, putting off the vote for a while till we get all the facts in. So, yeah, we're seeing this across the board, and unfortunately, it's kind of like property taxes. A lot of people get their tax bill and say, "Dang, city,"
I know.
and we're, you know, a third of it. I think a lot of people get their combined water, trash, sewer, everything else bill, and think it's all water. So, anyways, just wanted to say that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. City Manager?
Mr. Mayor, was doing some brainstorming here real quick with Director of Communications, Gretchen Spiker, and we produce a weekly report that comes out of my office that's available on the website. A lot of folks don't go to the website to check that, but we think what we can produce here beginning next week is a listserv so that citizens can sign up and have that delivered to their email every week. So we're working on finalizing those details, but if you'll watch TV4 here over the next few days on social media, we'll be able to share that next week also with council, but should be a great way to get some of those communications out to our citizens.
Good idea. If I can make a comment on it. I know that we all are struggling with this, but we know what we have to do. But it's not just about the rate increase, in my opinion. I give credit to the city manager and the utilities director Davis and others. It's our responsibility to be good stewards of whatever money we come to, and that we use it in a judicious way, that we manage our projects, I believe, in a more efficient way, that we use every resource that we have to make sure these dollars are spent with critical decisions before somebody signs off on it. Take a look at it a second time, third time. If there's a better way to do it, that's what we need to find as well. I think that our efficiencies deserve a little scrutiny. I think it's always been that case. And it's always good to try and hold a magnifying glass to how we do business. And I encourage our city employees who are actively involved in this. If you have ideas, if you can see things that are not being done in an efficient way, or could be done in a more conservative way, in a way that saves us money and still provides the services that this city needs, then relay them to your supervisors. There's an open door so that you can be a part of the solution and not just take orders, not just say this is the way it's going to get done. You can be part of offering different opinions and options. So I encourage the citizens of Topeka to support our staff, and I encourage the staff to work as hard as they can to be the best city employees they can with the dollars that we have been given to use wisely. So with that, I think we'll move on. to public comment. And under public comment, Madam Clerk, I think we have one individual. Mr. Henry McClure, I see you back there, Henry. Badges, I like that.
the police and the fire department. Henry McClure, Happy New Year. You know, if I just walked into Topeka for the first time ever and I heard you guys talking, I'd be really encouraged. I like what she said about hearing from the public, and I like what you said about listening to ideas. And that would really be cool. You can't turn the clock back on your methods and where we are with the water department. But you can change how you do economic development. You can change it today. And if you go back and look at the original idea after Montgomery Ward's turned into the police center, it was a 1/4 cent sales tax to make land shovel ready. Well, I found the glitch in the matrix, okay? And there's nobody that's heard, if I do it for you, I got to do it for everybody, more than Henry McClure. But let me tell you, the idea here is to create a plan that creates infrastructure dollars as far as economic development, and it's basically a form you fill out. So think about this for a second. Pizza Hut comes to Topeka, and they want to open up a distribution center. Well, that creates jobs, and they figure out, they give it a cute code name, and and there's these secret meetings, and then they figure out what the return is going to be on that economic development help. And it's almost like cryptocurrency, you're going to get these great returns. So the job quits being a job when the Pizza Hut guy, he's got a box of pepperonis, and he hands it to the company store, and the employee inside the retail operation, well, that's not a job, because you don't support the retail side of this. And fundamentally, that's wrong, because it creates the very sales tax that gave this guy a job. So if you support retail operations that create the sales tax, if you just help people that are building new buildings or adding infrastructure, new infrastructure, we need a new water line, we need a new gas line, we need a new sewer. If you just put the money in the dirt, it's just the same scenario as the water system. If you had the money now, if you had $2 million in reserve, you'd feel better about the utility, because you got $2 million in economic development money right now. And I don't know if the public knows that. The carryover from last year that your contractors didn't spend was about just under $3 million, I think. And $1 million of that's committed for other deals. But you've already got $2 million in the bank today that you could be putting into infrastructure to create the very sales tax that you're spending so the guy making the pizza doesn't get help, but the guy that handed him the box from the distribution center, that's a job. Imagine the guy, the pizza maker, comes time to take his Social Security. Sorry, pal, that wasn't a job. You don't get your money. But if you look at it, if you start looking at economic development and then make it to where it's a form, here's the interesting thing. There's no sales cost on my idea. Doesn't cost you anything, and anybody can bring it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. No one else signed up for public comment? Okay. We'll go to announcements if this clerk would read.
For the January 13th meeting, we have for action items We have two ordinances. We have a PUD located at Southeast 37th Street in Adams, and the next one is for One Gas Incorporated, located at 401 and 501 Southwest Gage Boulevard. We have a resolution regarding the Brewster Place RV sales tax exemption. We have an ordinance regarding motor vehicle claims, and then we have a discussion on unlawful possession of catalytic converters.
Mr. City Manager.
Nothing for me tonight, sir.
Okay. Councilwoman Ortiz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to congratulate Rochelle Vega Ratana on her 24 years with the city and her retirement today. Rochelle will truly be missed as she has deeply engaged with our NIAs, our CACs, and neighbors, and just any and everybody, and it was amazing. So good luck to her. Congratulations to the new deputy mayor. I would ask one thing of you: when I call you, please don't scream, "Yes, you have to be there." just please don't be rude to me like somebody else did. That's the only thing I would request from you. You got it. Thank you.
Is that Tony?
Also, I wanted to say LEAP applications are available today. They were available today for people that are struggling with their utilities. It's a state application. Liz will have some, or you can ask me, or you can get on with the state. I'll send that out. But there's a lot of people struggling with their utilities, and it's really sad because we really haven't hit, really cold weather. But so just wanted to say that. I wanted to talk a little bit about smoke detectors. Michelle, you're not, to me, you're not originally officially welcomed by me until I get you my smoke detector application. And I will make sure that I get that to you this week. I would ask that you would follow through with that and fill it out and let our guys on the fire department come out and check your smoke detectors and put them in. They're good for 10 years and they're free. I just want to say this. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of work to do. We've all seen our emails. We've all seen our fires. And it saddens me because I read all the way to the bottom of the list of what happens. And when I see no smoke detectors were detected, that really bothers me. And I also look at the addresses, of where they're at. I think 1260 Buchanan. I look at in Oakland, I look in East Topeka and Leland or wherever, and it's affecting all of us, Again, I will sit here and I will say this time and time again. We have to get these applications out because there's not an area that I've seen that they're so fulfilled that they're not having fires. When I read about that young lady, the last incident, and her parents said we heard crackling, if they'd have had that smoke detector. So I would ask you, Michelle, that I love you enough to give you that application, to fill it out and make sure so we can keep you safe. And I would ask you to take that application and pass it on as well and give it to somebody else, if we can do that, because it's just going to get worse. So please, let's help our fire department. Let's help our police officers. It helps all of us. Let's help each other. I just cringe at this again. So even though it's not October, I still had to talk about it, Mayor. Still had to say it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Councilman Emerson.
Nothing, Mayor. Thank you. Congratulations, Deputy Mayor, though.
Councilman Kell.
Well, Ms. Ortiz, we've known each other for about 7 years, and we've been on the council together for 1 year as of tonight. And I haven't received my application yet from you.
So you're not.
And you know I'm accident prone. You know I'm accident prone. So, So.
If I may respond, Mr. Mayor.
Please.
I apologize. I'll get your application. I gave that same speech, and somebody went out and put up 15 smoke detectors in the house. I'm not going to say who it is, and that was kind of overkill. So I didn't want you to do that, Cal. I wanted you to.
That person has some of your smoke detectors.
But like I said, I've known Councilman Ortiz for about 7 years, and it brings me to, it's National Mentoring Month. And as I said just a little bit ago, I've been on the council for 1 year, and I feel like I've had great mentors all around me, with all my other council persons with me, and with the staff that we have that helps us out. And Ms. Ortiz and I have had very good discussions, and she's taught me a lot about life when we used to work together at DCF.
Somebody had to teach you.
So, and then Councilwoman Heller, when I lost to the mayor 5 years ago, Councilwoman Heller picked me up and put me on the
Community action.
Community Action Committee. Sorry, yeah, I was just thinking the first T, and I knew there was more to it than the first T. But on the community action, but there's so many ways you can be out there to mentor, and people don't even really look at it as mentoring. I always looked at when I coached as I was more of a mentor than I was a coach. I was teaching life lessons when I was working with my athletes, and when I'd have someone say, I can't do that, I'm like, just try it once, and you know, when it worked for them and they lit up and they realized, okay, you know, if you just give life a try, you can get something out of it. So there's so many different ways you can be a mentor out there. And like I said, it's National Mentoring Month. Just look for different places that are looking for help to help our youth, help our starting out in the career field youth, and people that are starting a career change at a certain age. Everyone needs mentorship. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilwoman Nair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is also National Blood Donor Month. If you are able to go ahead and donate blood, that is something that hospitals and our community are always in need of. There are several different places in the Topeka area. Biomat USA, CSL Plasma, and Community Blood Center are all great places to start. I personally give blood whenever I can, and I have gotten out of the habit, but they can go ahead and stop calling me so much. I will go ahead and get all scheduled for that. So please do consider that if you are able. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Dobler.
Thank you, Mayor. I've given blood a couple of times when I wasn't planning on it. A little frightening. First of all, I appreciate the confidence of the council in electing me as deputy mayor. Unfortunately, I get to follow former deputy mayor Duncan, who did a great job, by the way.
Yes.
I'd like to offer a round of applause. One more quick thing. I dinged the county refuse service a little bit ago, but I want to give them some kudos right now. You know, they've eliminated a lot of the pickup points for recycling, unfortunately, and one that was close to me went away about 3 months ago, and I was disappointed to see that, but I understand. There's some major issues. I think everybody probably ended up with a lot of cardboard after Christmas. We all do. It's more than you can get into your cart. And last Saturday, County Refuse held an event at the Expo Center where they had trucks lined up and you could just drive up. They had several folks out there that unloaded for you. It was great. So I definitely commend them for doing that, and I hope they are able to do it again a couple of times during the year. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Duncan.
I am always available to consult as to where I think you should place those fire detectors. It's not that bad. The battery cost isn't great. It's worthwhile. Please do give blood. I give blood every 8 weeks. So they'll take from me. I'll be giving it in 2 weeks at the school blood drive, and then I'll sign up again. So they'll stop calling me too. But that's just what they're there to do. But yes, I will echo Councilmember Nager's. Please give blood. My only real announcement this evening, Mayor, is my mother's birthday tomorrow, so I would be remiss if I did not wish her happy birthday.
You would be in trouble, too. Thank you. Councilwoman Hofer. Councilwoman Heller.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. One, I hope everybody had happy holidays. It was a great time. I really appreciate the staff, all of them, that kept us warm and safe and worked through that holiday. We had many city staffers that did. Appreciate that. Also, all that was happening citywide. I mean, Topeka was a great place to be for the holidays this year. Lots of decorations, and they're even letting people go out and play hockey on the ice, which I highly approve of. I think that's great and bodes well for future holidays and hopefully a little more hockey in town as well. I too wanted to credit Rochelle Baker-Ratana's retirement today. She has been phenomenal for the department as well as for residents in the neighborhoods and people who are looking to find out what services were around. She's the person who has pushed out, CC'd I think all of us on the information about services. I give Councilwoman Ortiz credit for making sure that was happening, but we get a lot of great information. Also a shout out to Patty Jo Ham, who retired from the Public Works Department only a week or two ago. And Patty Jo as well has given us many, many years of great service. And so shout out to both of them and best wishes. And then just kind of a personal observation for me, but for all of us, I think. My birthday was Saturday, and I think most people are doing more social media these days than we used to in the past or whatever. I got over 400 happy birthdays over the weekend, and it was really heartwarming to me. It was just pretty amazing. But I also think it reflects on all of us here at the council too. I mean, a lot of those folks are local, and the appreciation for the work that I do, but that all of us do here, I think was evident in that. So I wanted to kind of share my amazement with you, but also share that feedback that I think was really for all of us. And Happy New Year.
Thank you. Councilwoman Valdivia.
Thank you, Mayor. So I don't have to send a Facebook happy birthday, Karen. That's more friends than I have on Facebook. Just hope everyone had a happy and blessed Gregorian calendar New Year. Happy New Year. Also, congratulations to our new deputy mayor. I do want you to know, please check your emails, because I sent committee assignments in really quick, so I hope that got passed on to you. I'll even clap if you read it quick. But looking forward to the new year. Councilwoman Hiller and I and anyone else who wants to come on board are going to start working, have already started working really hot and heavy on the second year of changing our culture of property maintenance. And it is such a large moving beast that any ongoing support from council would be appreciated. That's all. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. I have one announcement to make, and then there is a need for us to go into executive session. And so if I could make that announcement before we do that, if I could have the outgoing Deputy Mayor Duncan join me in a sing-along. Yeah. I'm not sure I know how to do it.
Couldn't tell what he was picking up. It looked like a door closer, and I thought,
You got it. Okay, join me.
Karaoke?
No, I want people to sing it.
Just follow what the deputy mayor did, just follow the mayor.
You know, we do try to acknowledge the work of staff and make it clear that we do appreciate the work that they do. And it's no joke that the deputy mayor can be just a ceremonial title, but believe me, it is a working title when you work it like Deputy Mayor Duncan did. He assisted me in so many different ways and was there a lot of times to discuss things that we both shared an interest in and maybe go back and forth on ideas and plans. So I wanted him to know publicly that I do really appreciate your time as my deputy mayor, and I wanted to award that to you. And you can take it out and show people if you want. It's decent. So it's not something Tony Emerson would get you.
Oh, nice.
So my appreciation to you, Spencer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. city attorney will read.
The motion would be to recess into executive session for a period of time not to exceed 30 minutes to discuss the acquisition of real property for a location for a possible fleet building as justified by KSA 75-4319B6. The following staff may be necessary to assist the governing body in its deliberations. City Manager Wade and other staff he deems necessary.
Okay, you've heard the need for an executive session. Is there a motion? Motion to go move into second executive session by Councilwoman Nager, second by Deputy Mayor Dobler. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We'll go into executive session after a 10-minute recess. Thank you. Okay. We've concluded our executive session. No action has been taken. There being no further action coming before this body, this meeting is adjourned.